Hello, my name is Adrienne and I'm one of the Careers Advisors in Career Central, and this is the Recruitment and Opportunities Fair briefing. So, I'm going to run through this presentation. It's running as a workshop at Career Central, but you're watching this because you're not going to be at the workshop. So what I'm going to do is run through the slides. There's quite a lot of information on the slides already. I'll be adding a few comments. If you're happier just looking at the slides, please just turn me down. You're more than welcome to. Okay, so let's get going. What's the Recruitment and Opportunities Fair? We call it the ROF, by the way, and it is the largest recruitment event in the UEA calendar. It is big. It is definitely big. 95 employers and voluntary organisations will be there on Thursday the 18th of October. And in terms of why they're there, some of them are going to be there recruiting for 2017. And that is predominantly volunteering, part-time roles, and also looking at insight days and internships. And also for 2018, summer internships, and then also graduate jobs and graduate training programs. I'm going to explain this a little bit more as we go along. There are going to be quite a few employers there who've not been before. We try and mix it up, and we've got a couple of new hubs this year that might be of interest. But it's really worth remembering that it's part of a much bigger recruitment market. So of the big employers there, they are all members of the Institute of Student Employers, and as you can see, there's 750 plus members of that organisation. And were you to really roll this out, the statistics show that there are actually 1,375,000 private sector businesses that actually employ people. So 95, including voluntary organisations, is not a lot. So this is a way of potentially finding the right employer for you, but it's also part of a process of exploring and getting an idea of what it is you're looking for. So how can you use it? It's for researching, exploration, and definitely engaging. So what I mean by that is there's an opportunity for you to find out about different kinds of industries, different sectors that you might not have thought about, and to get a sense of what employers are looking for, regardless really of whether or not the definite employer is there for you. So it gives you an overview of what employers want and also what some of your degree options might look like. It's a chance for you to ask questions and to test assumptions. We do carry around ideas about what particular industries or jobs are like. So you can test those, ask the questions, and get under a little bit of the skin of what websites talk about. We're an amazing company, we're wonderful, we have all of these things to offer. You can actually ask some insightful questions just to test those ideas. You'll get a chance to talk to graduates who have come through university and who are on the scheme, and they are often brought along to represent organisations as well as HR professionals and graduate recruiters. So you can get a mix of opinions and insights. It is a way to help you get the job that you want. It's a great way to make an impression, particularly if there's an exhibitor there that you know you want to talk to. Do your homework in advance and you can actually make an amazing impression on the stand. And people do take names, they do take notes, they do have if they have a very good conversation with somebody, they will think, okay, I'm going to keep an eye out for that person's application. And by asking questions and chatting to people, you get a little bit more material to add into your application. So you get some hints and tips as to how you might really craft your application. It's for everybody, really. It's how you want to use it and where you are in your degree or your postgraduate studies. So for final year undergraduates and for postgrads at whatever level, it's thinking about September 2018, so schemes are opening now, and it's a chance actually to talk to employers that you are going to be applying to this year. For undergrads in year 1 and year 2, It could be a way of just getting a sense of what's out there, but you could also be looking for insight days. So an insight day is a very structured program where you are invited down to an organisation's office and there's a range of activities and talks to give you an insight as to what it's like to work for them. And also opportunities for summer internship programs and finding out who is running internship programs. But be aware, not all internship programs are open to first years. You need to check that if you're a first year and you're trying to secure an internship for next summer. But I think for everybody, it is about getting a bit more experience, getting a bit more insight and knowledge, perhaps building contacts, using the networking and volunteering opportunities to build your CV. And it's without doubt a way of making a really positive impression with people that you want to impress. Okay, so who's going to be there? It's big. It's in the main sports hall, so you can imagine 95 exhibitors. There's a lot of people there and it's very busy. So knowing who's going to be there and what to expect can be really helpful in your preparation. So as I say, we're going to have graduate recruiters. These are the people who have got graduate training schemes. They're going to come from a range of sectors, and there'll be different sized organisations who perhaps don't have schemes, but they do concentrate on recruiting graduates. But most of the people there are going to be quite big employers who employ graduates on a rolling annual programme, and they know how many graduates they're looking for from year to year. We do have 3 sector clusters, so these are smaller organisations and professional bodies to give you some idea of the sector. So you might get small and medium-sized enterprises represented. You might get, in terms of professional bodies, people like the Society of Young Publishers. So they're not an employer, but they can talk to you about a particular industry. So it's great if you're interested in those 3 industries. And voluntary organisations, a mix of local and national, a mix of paid and voluntary roles, and it's great for trying to gain more experience and to really get your CV going, as well as exploring things. It could be about improving your English, it could be about getting to know a particular group of people because you've got an idea that you'd like to work with that kind of group in the future. And we will be there. There'll be lots of careers advisors in black t-shirts, identifiable by the word careers advisor on the back. All of our events team and our events helpers will be there. The enterprise team, the internships team, the UEA award team, and the global team. So we're going to be out there in force. So a mix of yellow and black t-shirts. Look out for us. We're there to help you, okay? And you will get a copy of the programme on the day. You can also access a PDF copy of the programme on My Career Central at the moment. But basically, as you can see, anything marked in yellow, there where we'll be stationed, so the internships team and the careers teams will be there. And then you've got your volunteering zone and then a whole series of stands spread around. Now that looks quite spread out, but believe me, it gets pretty busy. So it's worth knowing where you want to be. But I'd also really encourage you to have a look at employers that maybe don't seem obvious choices to you. So do have a really good look around, give yourself time. And then there's an area, the Ask a Careers Advisor area, we will be there. So if you've got particular questions, if you aren't sure about how to approach an employer, or if actually you're feeling just a little bit overwhelmed, and some people do find this big, busy space overwhelming, come and talk to us. Please come and talk to us. We can support and advise and point you in the right direction. But I say again, it is a drop in the ocean. The ROF, as we call it, is a very, very good place to start, particularly if you know you're interested in a graduate training programme. But bear in mind that we run school and faculty events throughout the course of the year, so keep an eye out for the events that may be more related to your discipline, or perhaps events where we have UEA graduates, alumni coming in to talk about their careers, or employer events where you can get more of an insight to a particular company or a particular operation within an organisation. There's lots of other employers and schemes out there. So if you've decided that actually you are interested in that kind of work, but the employer you were interested in was not at the fair, it's fine. Use what you've learnt and carry on with your research. And you might, as I say, encounter some sectors and some employers that you really hadn't considered. Some people would say that they definitely don't want to work in the science sector, but actually they're really interested in human resources. So would you like to do an HR role in a science sector? Is there a reason why that would be very different? So think quite laterally, think creatively about what's actually there on the day, and then where you can take that with your research. Every year we do have students who say, yes, but the BBC aren't there or somebody else isn't there. If it's a very high profile organisation that's very popular with graduates, they won't be here. They won't be anywhere because they don't need to be. So if you're looking at that really high profile organisation, then you're going to be the one who does the research, because, for example, the BBC just don't need and don't have the budget to come around the country and talk to people. So you'll need to do the running. Whilst we do have smaller companies, they're not all going to be there, as you can see from the 1 million plus employers, which feels like a very big number. They're not all going to come to a fair like this. It's a big resource to take out of a small business for a day to come and attend a fair. So you might need to do some more research. But again, think about the recruitment fair as a way of exploring sectors and industries, and to help you just kickstart your thinking. And if you come away from the ROF thinking, actually, I had a great talk with that organisation about maybe doing something more marketing related or more creative, but I know I don't want to go for a scheme, then it gives you a starting point to research smaller marketing organisations. That's an example. And you may be interested in working abroad. So the Global Opportunities stand at the fair will be there. People will be there to talk about the kind of opportunities that we can support with and signpost you to good sources of research and planning. There will be multinationals, so if you're very, very keen on a career that lets you work abroad, then check out who's coming, do a bit of research so that you can ask them about those opportunities. And you'll find when you look either on the PDF or in your handbook that we have a key for every single employer profile. That key shows whether they're interested in graduates from particular faculties, but it will also identify whether or not that organisation is prepared to sponsor Tier 2 visas. So check the programme and approach the companies that you know are Tier 2 visa sponsors. So it's a way of researching. It's a way of understanding how different organisations work, and at the end of the day it's potentially about finding a job. And people do come to the ROF, they do talk to employers, they do make an impression, they do go on to apply, and they do get a job. So it's a bit of a supermarket, but definitely it's got a checkout. People do use this as a starting point for their applications. So, preparing for the day itself. Use the ROF programme to research the exhibitors, but do a bit more than that. If you're interested in somebody, have a little look at their website so that you know what questions you need to ask and what questions you've got answers to already. And think about other places that you might want to do research. So you may want to have a look on LinkedIn perhaps at some of the people who work there, or you may want to look on Wikijobs or Glassdoor and some of those other review sites that talk about the application process to particular organisations. So have a think about where else you might find information. Most large organisations also have their own recruitment Facebook pages, so you may want to have a look at those. Definitely research the roles. If you've got companies you're interested in and you've got a list of people you want to talk to, then do go to their careers pages. Okay. If you're not sure about what the job actually means, and that is quite understandable because job titles don't always mean very much, then you could use the Prospects website. There are job profiles on Prospects. You can either type in a job title in the search engine, or you can look at the sector pages and find jobs that way. The nice thing about the Prospects profiles is that they give you quite a lot of detail about what the responsibilities are likely to be and the kind of skills that are being looked for. So it's a great way of kind of giving yourself more information about something that feels quite new. And also check the recruitment calendar. So it would be great if you could go and talk to an employer that you're particularly interested in and be able to say, I see that your recruitment has just opened for this year. So you know the recruitment calendar. You know that they've got one intake, or perhaps that they've got two intakes. So you've got a little bit of an understanding about what their expectations are and how their system works. And on the day, go from anything smart casual up to a suit. It's entirely up to you. It's what you feel comfortable wearing. But try and think about making a good impression. If you're deadly serious, if this is about you seeking out particular employers and trying to make an impression, then think about how you're going to do that. CV or not CV is something that we're asked year in, year out with the recruitment fair. It's fine to take copies of your CV. It's fine after you've perhaps had a conversation with somebody to ask if they would be interested in taking your CV. But don't be surprised if they say no. Don't be surprised if they say, actually, if you're interested, then please go through the application process. And also weigh up the difference between having a CV that you've written and is very general, to perhaps going away and tailoring your CV and then sending it at a later date, that in a way that a CV that then responds to that organisation or that role. So think about why you want to bring a CV. The one thing I would say is, if you're going to bring a CV, make sure you're confident about it. Please don't come along with a CV that you haven't changed since you did work experience in year 10. If you're a UK student, you'll know what I mean by that. So please make sure that your CV is something that you're happy with, and do use the resources on MyCC, on the resource hub, to help you with that. We will be able to review CVs in the run-up to the recruitment fair, but it won't be something that we'll do a lot of because we won't have time to. So use the resources and just check that you're happy with that CV. And think about why. Why am I doing this? Could I send it later? We get really positive feedback every year from our employers about how intelligent and thoughtful and well researched our students are when they come to talk to them. So asking questions is really important. If you're browsing, then don't worry about the fact that you haven't done in-depth research into a particular employer. Think about asking open questions. Things like, how long have you been at your organisation? Could you tell me about what you look for in your graduates? What advice would you give to someone wanting to work in this sector? Could you tell me about your current role and what you enjoy most about it? Or you could ask other questions about mentoring, or how do graduates move through your program? What kind of key experience would make a difference if I was to apply for you? And they won't mind if you take notes. Not to ask, generally, can I have a pen or a mint or a goodie bag? It's a funny thing watching a certain group of students just going around and clearing up anything that looks fun and walking straight out of the door, but it's not generally looked upon very positively by the employers. Don't ask questions about things like holidays and cars, but think about, where you can get more information without having to ask an obvious question. So if you want to know more about an employer you've spoken to, you don't need to ask them where to get more information, because you know it's going to be on their website. That's going to be your starting point. So think about how it's coming across when you ask perhaps less focused questions. So avoid things that are clearly answered on the website. If you can, impress them. Ask them questions to show you've done some research. Genuine questions that you want an answer to that you can't find when you've done your research. Think about the recruitment process, the selection criteria. Are there particular trends? Where do they think their roles and their company are going? Is there something that's happening in the sector that might have an impact? And as I said earlier, there are going to be new graduates on the stand. Sometimes, quite often, they'll send a new graduate who has just come through the scheme. They may send alumni of UEA, so students who've been through the UEA process and understand UEA, and then you'll get HR people and graduate recruiters. So they're going to all give a very different perspective, and I think it's really important to remember that if you ask a question and that person doesn't know the answer, it might not be because they're being awkward. It may just be that they don't work in a particular area of the organisation. So don't be put off if you ask a question about the marketing department and they work in the finance department. They may just not know, okay? So see if you can find out where to get more information. And make a good impression. Think about your introduction. It's great if you can just have a bit of a rehearse in your mind or talking to somebody. How are you going to introduce yourself so that you're feeling confident? Hello, my name is. I'm really interested in this part of my degree, and I think I'm very good at communicating with people. So I'm trying to find a role that kind of uses these skills, and I'm interested in what you do. So think about your little pitch basically and practice your handshake. Okay, you need a nice firm handshake without breaking anybody's hand. And if you're feeling nervous, go with a friend. And always remember they're here because they're trying to recruit the best candidates. So they do want to talk to you. They're not here to trip you up. And if you're really having problems, you're really struggling, come and grab one of the careers advisors and we will support you. So, when you've been to the recruitment fair, you've had a good day, you've met loads of people, you might be in one of a number of positions. So the first would be you've met somebody, you've talked to them and you want to follow up. You could connect with them in LinkedIn. You could use their Facebook and Twitter pages and follow them. If you've had a conversation and they've said, send me a CV or here's my card, it was lovely to meet you, then follow up on that. Email them, explain how lovely it was to meet them at the ROF and that it would be great to actually find out more about the scheme or whatever it is that you want to know from them or to share with them. Potentially that could be your CV, which you've then had time to tailor a little bit. And you might decide you want to apply. So apply. If you found an employer that you're really interested in, take action. Check the dates, check the process, begin gathering the evidence that you know you're going to need, and come and see us if you need help and advice. You might come out of the ROF thinking, not quite right for me. So think about alternative sectors or different types of employers. It may be that you're interested in what somebody does, but you're not really keen on that style of organisation or size of organisation. But it's a starting point for your research. You could use the UEA mentoring program. That's a way to have conversations with UEA alumni about the careers that they've entered into and get some tips and ideas and insight into perhaps what could be right for you. And obviously, the careers advisors are here to help you with further research and to help you with decision making. So come and see us if you're a bit stuck. And if you came out thinking, no, this really isn't right, please don't have that negative response that means that you don't engage with us ever again. If it feels wrong, if it wasn't a good experience for you, come and talk to us. Make an appointment, come and see a careers advisor, and we'll figure out what wasn't working for you and therefore try and find out what will work for you. You can also use the career options on the resource hub on MyCC. Think about what your starting point might be for your degree subject. And you can also use prospects as a general way of helping your research. But whatever you do, don't panic. Okay, come and get help, come and talk to us. That's what we're here for. And if you have questions for us before the event, then please drop into Career Central. If there's anything we can help with, we will. If you have questions during the event, look out for the people in the t-shirts. We will help. And after the event, come and see us, come to our workshops, use our resources. Okay, so I hope you have a really good ROF and come and say hello. And we shall look forward to working with you again very soon. Thanks for listening.